Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Glad to have you participating in your county government this morning. And at this time, I'll call the Paulding County Board of Commissioners work session to order this August 23rd, 2022. And we don't see any elected officials out there this morning. I would like to say that Sandy Caker has called in. Is that correct, Frank?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have her on speakerphone.
So good morning, Sandy. Thanks for calling in. If you've got a mobile device, please silence it. And if I can ask the marshal to bring the list of those wishing to speak on agenda items. Okay, thank you. May we stand at this time and have our invocation and our pledge. Gracious God, we bow humbly and respectfully and faithfully in front of you, and as we meet together today to discuss important issues. I thank you for our staff, our department heads out here that work so hard for this county, and for our marshals and our other first responders, for their availability to do the right things for our county in enforcement. So we'd ask for your guidance and your wisdom this morning. And in Christ's name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The August 9th, 2 weeks ago, 2022 work session minutes and the August 9th, 2022 board meeting minutes are available for your review on that back table. Under announcements this morning, we have a segment about National Night Out 2022, and we'll look at that together now.
In the city of Dallas, they've shut down the streets, and we're having National Night Out, which is a national organization. It's happening all throughout the United States to bring law enforcement out and bring a community out. With really no agenda other than come out and have a meet and greet, get to know each other, find out problems that's going on and things we do to help our community out and get to know each other. Everybody seems to be having a great time. We got food trucks out here. If you want to come out and eat, come on out and enjoy the day with us, get to know some of us. This happens every year throughout the United States. It's a national event. We've already got this scheduled for next year to do it here again, so we'll be back in the city of Dallas. The roads closed down, and we hope to have more food trucks and more stuff for people to do.
Thank you, Jeff Harkins, and your team for putting that together. Kind of wish I'd been there. Next, the Board of Commissioners would like to present the Public Safety Appreciation Award to Deputy William Gillstrap with the Marshal Bureau. And I see Chief Hess coming up. Before Chief Hess says a few words, I'll just read the Public Safety Appreciation Award wording. It's presented to William Gillstrap, recognition of outstanding service to his community, presented by the Paulding County Board of Commissioners the 23rd day of August and signed by all of us here on the panel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, good morning. Obviously, you can see that Will didn't know anything about this. We kind of like to keep it that way. It's kind of fun. This morning, I'm very proud to present Deputy William Gillstrap with the Public Safety Appreciation Award for his service to Paulding County and the Marshal Bureau. Deputy Gillstrap began his law enforcement career with the Rome Police Department back in 2004. He then went to work for the City of Rockmart Police Department in 2006, where he served the City of Rockmart for nearly 17 years. After nearly 20 years of service in law enforcement, he left to go work in the heating and air business But Deputy Gillstrap realized that his heart really belonged to public safety. So he applied here with us at the Marshal Bureau. And when I actually spoke with his former chief over there in the city of Rockmart, he said that I would be pleasantly surprised at his work ethic and what an outstanding officer he is. He was spot on with that statement. So Deputy Gillstrap is dedicated to serving the public. It shows every day when he comes to work. He carries himself with a great attitude and an amazing work ethic. He's always in a good mood, and that trickles down to the rest of my deputies. He's a great addition to our agency. He proudly serves the citizens of Paulding County. And if you didn't know, he's a big fan of the SEC. He loves the Gators, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, Auburn, and LSU. So if you have any of that paraphernalia just laying around, drop it off at his desk. So congratulations, William.
Surprise, surprise.
Good deal, buddy.
We have no invited guests this morning. Item number 2 on the agenda is discuss action. It's a bid award item. Discuss action to award the purchase of 2 Ford Transit 150 vans to the lowest bidder, Hardy Family Ford, in the amount of $66,677.64. It's funded by SPLOST Fund, Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, that 1 penny on the dollar that goes so many different ways. And it'll be used for these purchases, for the purchase of these 2 vehicles. Ms. Pollard.
Good morning. This is another one of those vehicles that are purchases that we don't know when we'll actually receive it. We just order it and kind of hope that it gets here eventually. However, Animal Control is in need of a couple of vans. One's for a new employee and one's for one that they've got down currently. We have a state contract pricing, which is $67,475. And for those that don't know, the state issues a big contract bid, and then that award, we all piggyback off of that award. This one, Hardy Family Ford has quoted a price just under that state contract price, as they often do, and so we're recommending award in the amount of $66,677.64 for each vehicle, and there are 2 vehicles in this award.
Any questions for Tabitha this morning? Thank you for reporting. We have no other reports from committees or departments. The public participation on agenda items, no one has signed up. Under the consent agenda, it's a consideration of the following items. Number 3 is to approve and confirm the reappointments of Pat Rakestraw, Jody Palmer, Katie Anderson, Kim Freeman, and the new appointment of Gail Crew to the Library Board of Trustees for a 3-year term ending in June the 30th, 2025. Item number 4 is to adopt the Solicitor General's job classification for legal assistant. And item number 5 is to declare the following items, which is 10 Sheriff's Office vehicles, to be listed as surplus and to approve their disposal through auction or trade. The list, I'm not going to read all the numbers and everything. The item names and the make and model and the very long serial numbers are on the back desk and available for you to read. And I don't know, Tim Estes may want to purchase one of them.
Well, I'm thinking, what's a smart card?
You got a smartphone, right?
Yeah.
You say,
So can it be hacked?
I'm not smart enough to answer that question. I'm sure somebody in the room will get with you. Okay, that's the consent agenda, and we have no old business to discuss this morning. New business is the bulk of our discussion, and item 6 is discuss action to authorize the chairman to execute a letter to the Georgia Department of Audits appealing the results and conclusions from the 2021 sales rations study and authorizing the Board of Tax Assessors to act as the county's representative therein. We have Mr. Stokes, our chief assessor, and of course our county attorney on my right here, Mr. Jason Phillips, to bring us more information on this.
Mr. Chairman, I'll take the lion's share of this. Mr. Stokes is going to provide the board with additional details in executive session. This is an appeal of the finding of the Georgia Department of Audits and Accounts, finding that our 2021 tax digest is too low. All right. So we have, Mr. Stokes will brief you in the details of that, but they indicate that our digest is 7.7% below actual market value. The assessors believe that our digest for that year is within 2.5% of where it needs to be, which is an acceptable level. We're in the same boat, along with 60% of the other Georgia counties who have it's also been determined that their digests are too low. So we are going to be appealing this. The intention is to appeal it with your approval this evening, along with the school district, who will also be involved, also intending to appeal.
Questions for the county attorney? Thank you, Jason. Item 7 in new business is discuss action to approve the sanitary sewer line improvements and existing sewer line test project located at the Paulding County Airport to Southern Pipe and Grading, LLC, in the amount of $1,834,703.10. This is paid for by Arpa funds. Acronym stands for the American Rescue Plan Act. So these funds will be used to connect to the City of Dallas sewer basin located in Post 2. And Mr. Green's going to report.
Great. I was hoping we could pull up the presentation. My screen doesn't look like that. I'll begin. I'm not sure what the issue is here. Thank you. You may have been expecting Ms. Ashmore or Mr. Wooten, because this is a sewer line bid item. But this is actually for a city service that we're extending out at the airport location. This project will connect Chattahoochee Tech's new school for training aircraft mechanics to the City of Dallas sewer line. I don't know why. All right, well, I'm sorry I can't help you with the AV part of this. There he is. Oh. Somebody knows what they're doing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, appreciate it. As I said, this project will extend sewer to the new Aviation Academy. The county's role was to provide the infrastructure and property. Previously, we had dedicated a 3-acre tract for the school site. And I'll pull that up in your upper left-hand portion there. That is the footprint of the new Aviation Academy. The design was completed by Holt Consulting, who is here today, and they are also the airport engineer of record. So we have coordination issues with FAA, so it made sense to use them for this project. We've been working the past year through various options. You may recall a couple of different agenda items for the design work, and literally we've looked at 4, 5, 6 different options to bring sewer to the academy. We've ultimately come up with the best solution, we think, and that will involve running 3 sections of sewer. The first section is south along the airport access road from the academy to a manhole near the flagpole out there by the corporate terminal or corporate hangar. That section in red will actually be built by the state as part of their academy project. So that's the first 600 feet. There it ties into an existing manhole that feeds our airport sewer system and is ultimately pumped to a septic field across to the south side of the runway. The project will, as this is going to the city, it will need to take this existing sewer system and bring it up to the standards of Dallas. There's some maintenance issues that need to be performed. We've already done some of those, but there is a small section of pipe near the tie-in point that needs to be repaired. And then the system needs to be tested and inspected and certified for the city to accept it. So that's the repair part, and that is part of this award that we're bringing to you today. The third section is the cross-country section, or the more complicated, the meat of this project is that green line. That green line runs from just below the terminal area, cross-country across the ridge, down to the city manhole. And I'll show you that. Last slide there points to the city manhole where we're tying into a sewer line that is sitting there waiting for us. We bid this project and opened bids on July 13th, working with Tabitha's office and Holt Consulting. They put out the bid advertisement both locally and at the state procurement site, so we literally had hundreds of companies receiving notices of this bid. Ultimately, we received only one bid, Southern Pipe and Grading, for $1.8 million and some change, as you see. Since there was only one bidder, we did want to go over everything carefully. So over the last month, we have been checking the bid items. We have been working on the insurance and bonding for this project, and as well as checking the contractor's qualifications. Southern Pipe and Grading is known to us. They've done at least 2 projects for us. One was the drainage project last year, extending some storm drainage down the valley from the terminal area. They also worked on the grading of our last fire station on Wayside at Spring Road and did a great job there. So we can provide you personal experience. They also have experience with park grading and other projects around the metro area. Arpa funding will be used for this project. No local match required. This is money allocated to Paulding County that we either have to spend or it goes somewhere else. So we're in a good position here with funding. The schedule for this project is 5 months. If we start in about 3 or 4 weeks, it's going to take 5 more months to complete this work. It's somewhat challenging if you're familiar with the territory out there by the airport, and a good bit of earthwork needs to be moved in order to get the sewer line laid and extended to the terminal. We have our airport director, Terry Tibbetts. I need to acknowledge he is, I'd say, the local honcho on this. He has been very, very focused on this project and helping us navigate through the airport area and work with the FAA requirements to make sure we're in compliance with all of that. He is also actively coordinating with the team designing and now constructing the Aviation Academy, since it will be an aviation, essentially service to train mechanics. I believe Terry Tibbetts is an aviation mechanic also. He's got a lot of expertise that we get as an added benefit to him being the director of the airport. So he has been out there, the eyes and ears for this project. He will also be the eyes and ears on this to a certain extent, but it is a project that ultimately we need to prepare, certify, and dedicate to Dallas so that they will actually be the maintaining agency when we're done. So this is not part of Paulding County's sewer system, but nevertheless, it is an infrastructure item that is required in order to make this academy happen. I understand some grading is happening out there already for the academy, and the building construction and groundbreaking is going to be coming up here in the very near future, I think a couple weeks off. So we're looking forward to that event and everybody coming out. With that, I'd be glad to take any questions you have.
Scott, I noticed in the backup material that working with Holt, they actually cut $33,500 for the total of a couple of items.
Yes, sir.
So that's money we can use for another sewer project, right?
It is. One of those items was for testing built into the contract. We prefer to make that an owner-controlled item where we can dictate when tests are taken and control the cost and the frequency of testing. That's the preferred alternative. So we moved that out of the contract and deducted $15,000 for that work. Also, there was an insurance item, added insurance that was a bid item. It was $18,000 or thereabout. Because this was a sole bidder and we were trying to bring the cost down a little bit, we did ask the contractor to remove that added insurance, which is, it's required to be on the face of a bid for FAA purposes, but not for the county purposes. And it is actually not really a cost. It's something they put in there to cover a catch-all for the insurance. But they agreed to remove that, so that did bring the price down just a little bit. So the actual opening bid price was reduced, I think, $35,000 or $38,000 to where it is today. Any other questions?
So, Scott, obviously, Paulding County is full of rock. So do we have any, I mean, what are we looking like on the rock and any agreements on, I mean, I see a pure cubic yard, but I mean, what do we have as far as, we got any tests done to see what kind of
Yes,
rock
sir.
we have out there?
Yes, sir. And we've had some good lessons and some painful lessons on rock in the past. Sometimes rock is an added alternate in bids when they go out, and the contractor doesn't know what the rock quantity might be. And then once they find the rock, then you pay that added cost. In other cases, the rock is unknown and there's no price included. And then the contractor, he goes out and prices the rock blasting, and then you pay whatever it is or you negotiate. We had that experience on a couple of projects where we didn't think there was a lot of rock, and it ended up being a lot of rock. And it cost us in change orders. So what we did on this project was we hired a testing company to bore 80 boreholes approximately on this alignment on the green line, center, left, and right, about every 25 to 50 feet along this corridor. And we provided those results to the contractor, subject to qualifications. The contractor can do their own boring. They cannot totally rely on that information. And then what we did was we bid this project as a gross price per cubic yard. There is no rock additive. So that includes the overburden they have to remove and the trench rock. If there's trench rock encountered, that's all included in the price of the project. So there will not be a change order for rock on this. So what's important there is the contractor has a good quantity and factors that into the price.
So what size material does he have to bring the rock down to? I went out there the other day to look at it, and I see a crusher, rock crusher there, so obviously,
Yes, sir.
do we know what kind of rock, or the quality of rock? Is it
That-
usable rock, or is it just
See,
broke down to
I
a
knew you were going
fillable size?
to ask me a hard question. I brought experts with me, but basically, there's a FAA requirement for placing rock in a fill. And I think maybe bowling ball size thereabouts is a good kind of approximate size rock that they have to bring it down to before they put it in our fill.
But if
is
it's
that
quality rock, you can crush it and make it into a usable product such as
Yes, sir.
5734, rock
Yes, sir.
material you would use on the job site to begin with, which would then save on the overall project. Have y'all, I mean, that's why I was wondering what kind of quality of rock that's shows up in the report.
It's weathered rock and it's hard rock, and so there's a mix. And whether that's a marketable amount to crush down and recover some cost on, we didn't analyze it to that detail. We didn't expect there would be enough rock to actually move in a crusher and do that on this project. Although the contractor would have that option, we wouldn't have an issue.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to look at the report.
Yeah, we have the geotech. Be glad to share it. You probably understand it better than I do, or most people in this room, so thank you.
Scott, this may not be for you, but we've got Ray Wooten from Water Department and Terry Tibbetts
Yes, sir.
from the airport. Right there where it says new sewer line, and then the arrow to the green, a lot of that area is going to be part of the 5-year plan with, Terry, is it 19 or 29 hangars? 29. And so I'm just curious.
Yes, sir.
Since it's a Dallas basin, do the corporations that build those hangars pay the tap fee for it?
Yes, sir. Yes, so the city will have the rights to do the billing. This property is served by Paulding County Water. We would do the metering and provide that data and actually do the billing for Dallas in that case. And it would be a pass-through, but there will be tap fees associated with anybody that ties onto the system, as it would be with any business in Paulding County that is not on a septic system. So yes, in the case of a corporate hangar or something like that, if they have a restroom, there will be a tap fee based on their water usage and ultimately their sewer usage. But it would be fairly small for something like a hangar or a restroom. The bigger users, maybe the school, I would expect would be one of the bigger fee payers for the tap-on. And the tap-on covers plant capacity back at the city plant down by the Pumpkin Vine north of Dallas. It covers other costs that the city has to incur to maintain their lines and some of their capital costs, I think, is the basic components. Ray can answer that better for you if you had more questions. But yes, it will. And this has been planned out so that it is not in conflict with future construction. That's part of the exercise of going through 3 or 4 different alternates to run sewer either north of the terminal, through the apron areas, or even along the access road through the parking lot. The ultimate cost was the lowest to do the route we've selected here. And also the bend in the line is on the green line. It kind of circumvents the future corporate hangar areas and hangar development to the right of the terminal. So that's why there's that kind of around the corner approach to that sewer line. There's also still a fairly deep hole that we're going around there to get sewer to the Dallas manhole. That's a long-term, long-range type project for the future of the airport.
Thank you. Good information.
Looking at the unit cost here, the proposal, I noticed on the plan, there's a road crossing, it looks like an apron crossing. Are those repairs in here? The asphalt and concrete repairs?
There, so if we go back to that purple line is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
The purple line actually is under the apron. That area was able to be repaired using a non-destructive method. We did a mandrel and a little bit of rerounding on that line underneath the concrete near the terminal. And then from there on, the only thing it crosses under until it ties into the green line is just a sidewalk. So there is not, right now, do not anticipate any repairs in any areas that have concrete above them. The one area that we do expect repairs, the last 20 feet before the tie-in, that is in a dirt area where we can just excavate and replace a line of pipe. Does that answer? Thank you.
I guess you have the next one also. Item 8 is discuss action to approve Holt Consulting Company LLC to provide construction phase services for the sanitary sewer line improvements and existing sanitary sewer line testing at the Paulding County Airport. and the approximate amount of $157,400 of the ARPA funds would also be used, located in Post 2.
Yes, this is a companion item, and that's why we placed it right behind the award for the sewer line. Basically, because of the complexity of this project, the deep cuts that we have involved, the rock excavation, the fact that the city will need to ultimately accept this line, we need the services both for staff inspection, out-of-house inspection rather than staff, testing, project management, and also FAA reporting. There's a good bit of regulations and documentation that needs to go with any project that is on airport property. Those are things that we are not familiar with. We do get some free inspection from our airport director. He'll be watching the project very closely, but it's very labor intensive as far as documenting everything and certifying for the city, for payment purposes, for the grant purposes, and for FAA. Also, there's a great deal of coordination that has been happening with the Aviation Academy team, working with them on the tie-in points, their testing and their certification of their line. The city, I guess, would be the biggest, and then even GDOT and our local departments are involved with this project. And lastly, with the erosion control, EPD is involved, as well as our erosion control department from community development. They'll be looking at the land disturbance and watching some of that for us, as well as the inspector team with HALT.
Well, thank you for all the work you're doing out there, Scott. I know Mr. Tibbetts appreciates it as y'all work together as a two-man team, and you got Holt there in the green shirt. Welcome.
Yes, and I did invite Mr. Lowry because I didn't know how deep you would go on some of these questions. I was hoping Ray would back up if he couldn't be here, but as it happens, I think we're good. If you have any more questions, we've got the contract documents up front. One last thing I did want to note on Holt, their design services are on an hourly as-needed basis, so this is an actual cost billing. So the number might be a little bit larger than what we need, and what they will do is sort of like professional services. We bill based on what they need. They balance out in the end usually, and usually under budget, but that will be based on as-needed services per hour. As well as for the testing, USA Nova will be doing the compaction testing, which is very critical on a system like this, as well as the inspection on the site. I did want to just offer you one more slide, which kind of demonstrates the magnitude of this project. We have an area in red where the borings indicate very hard rock, and then maybe 25% of the line is through an area like this. And it's also very deep, so there will be trenching work, there will be trench safety issues, laying back of the slopes to make sure the work can be done and protect the workers. And then the hard rock, adds difficulty to the work. So those are things that I'm glad that we have an inspection consultant involved with. That's something I don't want to get down into and have to look at myself. Terry may be more anxious to or willing to do that kind of thing, but that's something we need to protect our staff from and pay the professionals to do it properly. But yes, there will be some difficult excavation in that particular area. So, and if anybody's been out of the terminal and has looked out the window towards Atlanta, you can see there's boulders and things even today showing up. In short, I recommend approval of both these items and appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Item 9, discuss action to adopt Resolution 22-33, authorizing condemnation of a tract of land for the construction, operation, and maintenance of a public sewer line comprised, not compromised, of 500.5 square feet of permanent sewer easement and 2,163 square feet of temporary construction easement, being tax parcel number 141.1.2.007.0, 2nd District, 3rd Section of Paulding County, Georgia, by the declaration of taking method pursuant to the provisions of Official Code Georgia annotated 22-3-140 and 32-3-4, and County Attorney Mr. Phillips to fill us in on this one.
Commissioners, this is a very small sewer easement to put in a gravity line. I want to say it's about 25 feet in length. We have been trying to have good negotiations and discussions with the landowner, but unfortunately the landowner has not been responsive to our attempts to strike a deal. We've just had some trouble hearing back from the landowner. So now we're recommending to proceed with condemnation. This, for a sewer line, will ultimately take a pump station offline. The water department would certainly prefer to have most of its sewer lines running by operation of gravity. It will also eliminate 3,000 linear feet of force main that is currently within GDOT right-of-way, so that'll be a benefit to the county as well. We've had the land appraised. We're still hoping to hear back from the landowner, but in the event we don't, our recommendation is to proceed with the condemnation of this property to get it resolved. I'm glad to answer any questions you all may have.
Thank you, Jason. Item number 10, discuss action to approve the Copper Mine Water Reclamation Facility, WRF Membrane Expansion Project Contract Amendment number 3 for construction and management and additional services during construction to Tetra Tech in amount not to exceed $713,056. Arpa funds will be used on this one also, located in post 3 though. Mr. Wooten to report, all dressed up, and he's going to preach a sermon maybe.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. This item, the Copper Mine Wastewater Reclamation Facility is being expanded by 1 million gallons. We're doing upgrades throughout the facility, and you were good enough to approve this a few meetings ago in the amount of $11,842,000. What we're asking for here, Tetra Tech was the original designer of the project. They completed it back in 2019, and we're fortunate enough to receive ARPA funds to be able to build it, and Tetra Tech, we're asking for approval to have them provide PMCM services. The original date of the construction has increased because of supply chain issues. So we're going to have more hands-on. We're looking at timeline issues, delivery issues, and being in conjunction with ARPA, they're going to also give us any additional reporting that we need necessary. And so what we're doing is we're hoping that, or what we would like to do is propose to have them to perform construction management and additional services during construction in amount not to exceed $713,056 with ARPA funds. Now, this is a maximum price. It's not to exceed that amount, but it's hourly based on if we have valves that we need to do an additional submittal on or a reorder in order to get everything timely. And it's going to be better for our overall product to have Tetra Tech continue with what they designed and provide these services. So we're requesting your approval of utilizing and amendment number 3 for construction management and additional services during construction to Tetra Tech in amount not to exceed $713,056 in ARPA funds. And can I answer any questions you may have?
Questions?
Got a comment maybe on some of this backup material. If you could print it a little bit larger. Of course, I think with some of these numbers, hourly rates and stuff like that, I'd probably hide it as much as I could, but I mean, it is extremely high. I mean, y'all know how I am when I look at stuff like this, but if you look at the per hourly rate based off of that, it's fairly high. I think when I was a kid, I wanted to be a doctor. If I ever grow up again, I want to be an engineer, I think. So.
Definitely, I will provide that to you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Wooten.
Thank you.
Item 11 is discuss action to adopt ordinance 22-12, amending Article 1.6.7 of the Development Regulations of Paulding County. That's also in Georgia. Regarding the maximum number of residential dwelling units with only one street access, and our work session wouldn't be complete without getting Mr. George Jones up.
Good morning. Morning. Paulding County DOT, we've began evaluating the maximum number of residential dwelling units, otherwise known as single-family homes, that are allowed ingress, egress along one street without a secondary access, which is currently in our development regulations. This evaluation began after questions and concerns from the Board of Commissioners, staff, concerned citizens about the current threshold we have. The current threshold the county has is 250. You can have 250 dwelling units on a single street. Once you get to 251, it calls for an additional access. Based on that information, we began researching our neighbors along with the International and Georgia Fire Code regarding the maximum number of dwelling units on one street without a second street access. Based on that evaluation, we found the numbers ranged anywhere from a low of 30 to a high of 250, which Paulding County is. We are the highest one that we were able to find in our area. Based upon the completion of this research, we would like to request the Board of Commissioners to amend current section 1.67 of the development regulations, which would be entirely replaced with the following language, which I'll read off. A maximum of 120 residential dwelling units shall be allowed to be constructed with only one street outlet on an existing public street. If a second access to an existing public street is not available or its existence may induce non-residential traffic through the development as determined by Paulding County DOT, the second access requirement may be waived by Paulding County DOT if and only if the original street outlet is designed and constructed with sufficient right-of-way and improvements to provide a divided median road with 2 lanes in and 2 lanes out. The 120 dwelling unit threshold is applicable for any location within the development. No further building permits may be issued within the development upon reaching the capacity of 120 residential dwelling units without a second access or without an approved waiver of the second access requirement. Subdivisions with greater than 400 residential dwelling units will be required to provide 3 access outlets onto existing public streets. No further building permits may be issued within the development upon reaching the capacity of 400 residential dwelling units without 3 access outlets onto existing public streets. We feel, this change in theory will provide for shorter distances to access an existing county street, be less impacts to property owners inside subdivisions if there's an emergency which necessitates shutting down the road. And this change will also comply with the Georgia Fire Code, which Paulding County has adopted. And based on that, we'd like the board to consider approving this ordinance amending the development regulations. And if you have any questions, I'll answer them.
George, I do have a question, and I didn't read the backup material till last night, and I haven't talked to my fellow commissioners about this, but it stands out to me, and I'm excited about this change. But when you get to 120, you need 2 ingress egress points. So it seemed logical to me if you added another 120, that would be 240, you'd need 3 access points. But you have to go all the way up to 400 residences even to require 3. So I think there ought to be another dividing point in there where we need 3 and then maybe 4.
Yeah, and again, Chairman, this can be amended at any time. What I would say is we looked at it as staff as what are the odds that you're going to have 2 access entrances into a subdivision and both are going to be closed at the same time, especially if they're coming off a separate county road. So it's more of basically taking into account an emergency, a likely, emergency that could happen, and basically being able to provide an access out for folks to get out of the subdivision. So that was the thought on that. But again, obviously, we can look at this further and change that if you would like, but that was the thought process.
While we're dealing with it, I don't know if we can actually make a motion this afternoon after, of course, getting your expertise and Scott's and two people in construction here on my left and right. It just seems illogical to have to jump from 120 up to 400 before you get another access.
In the current development regulations, it was 500 essentially, so it is dropping down. And again, 400 is the threshold that the GRETA, the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority, the DRI process starts. So when you get to that number threshold for single-family homes, that becomes a DRI at that point. So, and that was also why that one was picked too. So that was the reasoning and rationale.
Well, I respect that, and I understand. I just wanted to ask you.
No, absolutely. I should be able to answer any question. If I can't, then I will try to find the answer and ask staff if need be.
So as far as explanation, as far as just example, so if you have a development come in, say 150 lots, so you're 30 lots shy for a divided highway, would you carry that divided highway up till you reach the threshold of the 120, or, it doesn't really explain?
You have to at least go to that 120 threshold, but in theory, it'd probably go to the nearest street intersection. Logically, that would be the logical break point, essentially.
Sandy, you got any questions, dear? Let's fall asleep. I shouldn't put her on the spot, right?
You do that a lot, Dave.
Pardon?
You do that a lot.
All right, George, you're for the next one also, which is the final item. Number 12, which is discuss action to adopt ordinance 2211, enacting a new section 62-38 of the official code of Paulding County, Georgia, regarding utility accommodations and right-of-ways. Mr. Jones.
All right. The Utility Accommodation Policy and Standards Manual, otherwise known as the UAM 2016 edition, is the Georgia DOT document which outlines the conditions and procedures under which utilities will be permitted to occupy the right-of-way in Georgia. The UAM provides a benefit to both utility owners and the department to provide a joint use of the right-of-way, including defined responsibilities, technical information, and standards required for utility placement within the right-of-way. Currently, Paulding County in the Code of Ordinance has a utility accommodation section. It's 8 pages, while the UAM is 250. Obviously, the UAM is much more comprehensive, takes into account much more information. We currently, as staff, follow the UAM. However, we're asking the Board of Commissioners to officially adopt the UAM. Adoption of this more comprehensive UAM will allow the county to better regulate permitting, installation, traffic control along the roadway during utility installation, utility relocation for county construction projects, and overall right-of-way restoration after completion of utility work. The UAM adoption also includes the necessary amendments to equate state definitions and provisions with counties' policies and practices. Obviously, this was made for the Georgia DOT. We're trying to amend it and adopt it to suit Paulding County, which many other counties in this area have done, like Gwinnett County, Cobb County. Many others have adopted the UAM, but there's certain language in there, certain terms you have to amend to basically change it for state use to county use. Like, for example, the state, has a, commissioner. We don't obviously have a commissioner for DOT, so things like that. Again, this UAM provides language for utility damages, delays, and escalation process for both. Like I said, we currently do, we do follow the UAM. We are just asking the board to officially adopt, and I would like to say that our engineering division, led by Kathy Stout, has put a lot of time and effort into getting this UAM at this point ready for y'all to consider to adopt. So I'd like to call her out and like I said, for that. And answer any questions if you may have any.
Looking good. Thanks, George.
Thank you.
That's the conclusion of our regular business. We have two sign-ups on the agenda for non-agenda items. Ms. Rattery, are you going to speak? Ms. Rattery, to speak on the Dominion voting machines. Thank you for coming today.
Oh, thank you. Good morning. My name is Jan Rattery, and I'm a lifetime resident and voter of Paulding County. First of all, I want to thank each commissioner for stepping up to actually run for each of these commission posts in our county. I acknowledge that praise is seldom and complaints are frequent. I want you to know I appreciate you. The past several years, I have worked the polls at the Watson Government Complex. I started working during the 2020 primaries and have worked ever since. I'm not here to make any accusations about anyone in our county. The first reason I'm here is to disclose my observations of the primary and runoff elections during my tenure as a poll worker. The majority of my time was spent at, you guessed it, the Dominion scanners. I'm here to tell you that many Paulding County voters are untrusting of the Dominion machines. Some of the comments expressed to me personally were, is this machine connected to the internet? I hope my vote doesn't get changed. I'm voting, but it is probably useless. Let's see if my vote really counts. You know these machines are rigged. How do I know this isn't wireless? Various renditions of this same thought process occurred throughout the entire day and night. It was mostly men, fewer women. Some would look at me and just shake their head. These were not personal comments aimed at me, but aimed at the process. I went through the required training last spring to participate in working the polls for the primary held in May 2022. During our training, I cordially asked if we could post some type of statement at the Dominion scanners to inform the voter of basic facts about the Dominion machine, even as simple as, this machine is not connected to the internet. I was told that legal counsel would have to respond to such a request. I was told that this request would be made. May gets here and no notice, no response. Why can't the voter be informed? Okay, now, second reason I'm here. I personally do not support the use of the Dominion machines. In my opinion, there is opportunity for corruption. I do not consent to their use. Having said this, I truly appreciate the support of each post member here. However, the roadblocks need to be identified that are preventing the Paulding County citizens from having the Dominion machines added to the agenda for discussion and vote by the Board of Commissioners. Public statements of support from each commissioner with an explanation of why this isn't happening would go a long way. Tell us what you have control over, what you don't have control over, and where the opposition comes in. Then, with your public backing, let the citizens go to work on the problem with you. I am requesting that the use of Dominion machines be put on the agenda for discussion and vote by the Board of Commissioners. If a Board of Commissioners appointed unelected position dictates your agenda and the agenda is not supported by the voters of this county, then is it not the Board of Commissioners' responsibility to override, to do something to support us? Why can there be someone in a position to influence a commissioner more so than his or her constituency? All laws are not good laws and can be overturned, as we have all witnessed in the recent months. December 16, 1773, there was an event called the Boston Tea Party. This was a political protest by frustrated American colonists. This was the first major act of defiance against taxation and tyranny. These patriots were fed up, and I don't believe legal advice or threats of fines would have mattered to them. If Americans don't trust the voting process and our vote doesn't count, we're in trouble. Our vote is our voice. We lose our vote, we lose everything. Voter confidence in our election process must be restored. Transparency is an absolute must, and Paulding County voters have the right to determine how transparency is defined. And right now, it is not with the Dominion machines. I do not consent to their use. Thank you, and I appreciate you taking your time to hear my observations and my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rattery.
Hey, Jan. Hey, Jan. Ms. Rattery, could we have copies of that? I mean, just because you was addressing a lot of the stuff that you would like us to look at, but I'm not gonna remember everything you said, so if we could get maybe Rebecca to get us copies of it or something like that.
I've got some copies back there.
Thank you.
And we also have Tim Estes on voting machines also. Thank you for being here, Tim.
Thank you. And thanks again, Chairman Carmichael and Commissioners for listening to my concerns and taking your time. Thank you for everything you do. And as I said before, I think we got the best Board of Commissioners in the state of Georgia because I've seen them all and I've been there. Just before we get started, let me have a show of hands. Who either attended or watched the Moment of Truth Summit this weekend? Anybody in here? Okay. Well, it was, it's not advertised. Fake news don't do it, but thank goodness to a lot of patriots that put together a lot of stuff. I learned a lot. I'm a Georgia graduate and I got a degree in business and I know business, but I'm not a judge. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a high-ranking military officer. I'm not a forensic expert. I'm not a hacker, and I'm not a computer expert. Don't want to be, don't claim to be, but all these guys were. They got the data and they got the proof. So I encourage you to go on to frankspeech.com and listen to it. You know, it's on many social media platforms, but that's the one that I actually did. They actually said and gave you the proof that machines are manipulated and programmed, steering our direction, our elections in one way, whichever way the programmer desires it to go. As one computer expert stated, picture the machine as the hardware and the person as the software, and that's what's going on with these Dominion machines. And I'm going to show you what I've done just shortly. I think they need to go, and because I don't want to take a chance of losing our freedom here in the United States, and I think that is a roadblock for us to be on that track. I've been in officer products business for over 40 years. I know business. My degree is in marketing and sales. And I believe it was you, Virginia, that asked us to do a cost analysis on what it cost the Dominion machine versus paper ballots. Do you remember that? Well, you did. Okay. I think it was you. So me and Tim Sudworth is online. Say hey to Tim. He's sick. So we went to the Board of Elections, and thanks Deidre and I think Jessica opened up very transmitted to all their information about this. And I'm here to tell you I did a cost analysis, and Dominion machines is costing Paulding County over double what the paper ballots would cost. And I can give you those figures later. The Dominion company has monopoly on this market through their supplies and also their support. How do you know? I know the paper business. I've been in it for 40 years. Our Board of Election ordered 25 reams of paper for $15,000. That's $675 a case. I can sell it to you through my company for way under half that price. They ordered 25 memory cards, $2,100. We're way less. They're over $40 a card, and I can get them for way under $20 a card. But we got to buy it from them. We don't have a choice. Can't go out to Amazon or an independent. So I know that 5 scanners, $25,000. I know how much scanners cost because I've been in the machine business for a long time. Way under half that. And then their support team, which is not free, you got to pay. You know how much we pay each technician when they come in? $5,000. When I do a business with our support is free with our service, but we gotta pay them an extra $5,000. So that's not even to mention the extra warehouse cart, the space, the carts, 5 full-time employees, 25 extra co-workers, extra IT person that our county pays just to support the Dominion machine. I don't want my tax money going to foreign countries anymore, or even out of state. Some of the research, some of the people that they use, they co-op with, are out of state and out of country. I've been told to support local, but our government don't even support local. Why can't we go to paper ballots? That's my 5 minutes. You was gonna tell me. I want to support our local business pen. We can get volunteers to count those ballots for the money we actually save. Thank you for your time.
Do you have
and
more,
God
Mr.
bless.
Estes?
Do what?
Did you cut off very much of your message?
I did.
I'd
did,
like
but-
to,
Huh?
I'd like to make a motion that we let you finish your presentation. Is there a second? Got it. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Continue till you finish.
Let's go back to Made in America products and companies. Let's go back to local businesses and supporting them. And if we have to hire new employees, let's do it locally. But I bet you got enough volunteers in this room that will do it free, because that's the concern. I do know that in America, 70% of the people are against the machines. They want them out of here, okay? Because they don't trust them, and they believe that it is not to our advantage to have those machines calculate and go and regulate our voting elections. Let's do another hand count. How many people in this room believes that they don't trust the Dominion ship and would like to get them gone? Do you see that? It's that way all over the place, but we're having a hard time getting rid of them. That's why we actually need to get rid of them, and we need your help and we need your support. Have I got 5 more minutes?
I said till you finish.
Okay.
That's what the vote was.
I'm going to tell you a quick story. I have the state of Georgia office products business now. I've owned several companies. I know that business, and I know it well. We lost it one year to one of the big box companies because they get a prebate to the state of Georgia. You know what a prebate is? They pay for your business. They gave the state of Georgia $2 million to do a 5-year contract to do business with them. And their quoting price was under cost, about 10% under cost. So why wouldn't the state do it? But I tell you, they're crooked. They manipulated the computers. They charged the state of Georgia more. So at the end of 4 years, a bunch of independents got together and said, we need to do an audit. They wouldn't allow it. So we paid for it ourselves. We hired our own lawyers. We did everything. And we found out through proof that this company overcharged the state of Georgia $10 million from what they actually charged. State of Georgia, because they broke the contract, got rid of them, and we had to bid again, and we won the business, and we kept it ever since then. So let me tell you, there ain't something for nothing, my dad's taught me, and you got to watch the crooks out there, because there's a lot of them. So I pray, and I will work hard for you to help get rid of these machines and get elected officials like you all through our state. Thank you, and God bless.
Just to clarify that site for the video, Frank's Speech, all run together?
FrankSpeech.com. There's about 6 people who carry it, but I like FrankSpeech.com.
Okay.
And there'll be things on there you won't like, that's true too, and there'll be people you don't like, but they thought Alexander Bell. I'll leave these on the back. There's all the different, stuff
Okay.
you can look at with their website. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Estes. Okay, we're finished with public participation, comments and announcements from the board. This would be the time to celebrate something, announce something, say something's on your mind or whatever.
I'd like to announce, tomorrow, Wednesday, at 6 o'clock at Burnt Hickory Park, be the first public meeting of a master planning for the Richland Creek Reservoir. So, it's open to the public. I'd like to hear your input or what you'd like to see around the new reservoir. So please come out tomorrow from 6 to probably 7 or however long it takes, but at Burnt Hickory Park.
Thank you, Brian. Well, I'll thank Deidre, who's still in the room, she always gives us a little encouraging thought or verse or something. She didn't have to do that. It's encouraging. Thank you. So, I wanted to ask our county, no longer administrator, our county manager, if he has anything.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to announce that the 5th annual Rides for Wishes that benefits the Make-A-Wish community is going to be on October the 8th this year. It's been moved a little bit further into October. Those interested, you can go on active.com and sign up to ride or sign up to be a sponsor, or both. So I appreciate the opportunity to let everybody know that, October the 8th.
ActiveACTIVA.com.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
We do have a requirement for executive session today about pending litigation in real estate, and we will adjourn from that meeting across the hall. What I'll need is a motion and a second to go into executive session for pending litigation in real estate.
I'll make a motion to go in executive session for pending litigation in real estate.
We have a motion by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Galloway. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned to executive session. Thank you, everyone, for being here.